Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with IREC Veteran 8888, and today we've got another Firearms Fact episode for you. I guess you could call this one kind of a firearms opinion, but for consistency's sake, we're just going to call it a Firearms Fact. But we are just providing some opinion here, but we are going to be talking about the differences between 7.62x39 and 300 Blackout. We actually get a heck of a lot of questions about this, and this was a viewer submitted question, all right? And we want to just kind of discuss the differences between the two cartridges, how they're similar, how they're different. You know, there's a lot of optics out there that, you know, you look at some of the primary arms offerings, which we've already done videos on, that show just how effective that ACSS reticle is to getting that 7.62x39 all the way out to 600 yards. Well, that optic is supposed to work with 300 Blackout as well because the trajectories of the rounds are so similar. So they're so similar. Why would anybody want to why would 300 Blackout need to even come into existence over 7.62x39? And let's talk a little bit about the performance between the two cartridges.
Well, originally, like 300 Blackout, everybody knows it because it's been so popularized by AAC and Remington and everything like that. I mean, basically, they semi-spec the cartridge, which had been a wildcat for a very, very, very long time. J.D. Jones actually developed the 300 221, Fireball, or the 300 Whisper. And he designed a system, shortened gas system and everything like that, a large suppressor and the whole 9 yards to run that round subsonically. And basically you're taking a 5.56 case, you're shortening it, you're necking it up to 30 caliber, and you're sticking a 30 caliber pill in it with very, very fast powder like H335, like very, very fast like Magnum pistol powder. So you're able to get the AR action to cycle, the bolt to lock to the rear, everything's hunky-dory, and you're supposed to be able to... The original idea was to go with a short barrel with a big suppressor for subsonic rounds and then get 7.62x39-like performance out of a 16-inch barrel unsuppressed using supersonic rounds.
So let me provide a little bit of a caveat there where I see an advantage of 300 Blackout right out the gate. Well, one would be if you already have an AR-15 and you're wanting to build a 300 Blackout. Well, the magazines, you don't have to have special magazines. You don't have to have a special bolt. So really everything is about the same there in terms of being able to just drop a barrel in and convert the gun over to 300 Blackout.
Yeah, use the same bolt face, everything.
The 300 Blackout is a very attractive option for somebody not wanting to do just a complete changeover to a new caliber. Now, that's one disadvantage in a standard AR platform, which we're going to talk about that in a second, is that when you start switching over to 7.62x39 in an AR platform, then what you run into, you have to have a special magazine, you have to have a special bolt, and then you have to have the special barrel. So the proprietary magazines tends to turn some people off.
Now that is only for standard AR lowers. There's a number of companies that produce like basically AR lowers that can accept a standard AK magazine.
Now, for somebody that already owns an AK variant and they want to have an AR type rifle but chambered in 7.62x39, you've got guns like the Mutant here, which this is actually one of my hunting rifles, and I've killed a lot of critters with this particular gun. I run it with 154 grain soft point ammo, and it does a great number on pigs, on coyotes. It works really well. But there are a number of companies that make a gun with a specialized magwell that can accept, AK-style magazines. You got the Palmetto State Armory PSA 47, which is a nice kind of lightweight option that also accepts magazines like that. You've also got the M+M M10X Elite. All right, that particular gun also accepts AK-47 magazines and offers AR-like reliability and accuracy, but in a platform that just accepts a Soviet-style magazine. So talking about interchangeability of parts and magazines, I think that's one area where the 300 Blackout appeals to more people because of its ease to experiment with the caliber. You can simply buy a barrel and swap it out.
It's a very simple conversion, and in my case, I found some of the 300 Blackout AAC barrel kits for sale for very, very reasonably priced, and basically I built another complete upper with parts that were laying around for the most part.
Right.
And it's like, hey, I'm just going to take it, I'm going to play with it, and I've done a lot of testing with factory loads, hand loads. I've done some crazy stuff with hand loads. I've got that stuff like butt naked hot, but you can do some really interesting things with 300 Blackout. But it is a pain in the butt because like that brass is expensive. It's like, dang, I don't want to lose it. So you run a brass catcher or whatever hanging off there. All right, with 7.62x39, it's like, oh, it's just steel case, bird and prime, hey, whatever, get that stuff out of here right now. I ain't got to worry about it.
Right.
You know, so you have those considerations where if you're hand loading, you want to save your brass. Plus, the ammo cost is considerably more expensive for 300 Blackout than it is for 7.62x39.
Well, there's definitely some differences there that we'll discuss as we move on, but let's talk a little bit about performance. So this is one area that I've never really been able to understand the mass appeal of 300 Blackout over 7.62x39. Okay, this is Yugoslavian M67 ball ammunition. I can buy an 1,100 round case of this stuff for about $300. Okay, you're not going to find any 300 Blackout that cheap, and especially not that's like a mil-spec, sealed, good quality cartridge that is a really well proven performer with a good bullet design and everything like that. Also, for hunting rounds, in 7.62x39, I can pick up a 40 round box of 154 grain soft point ammo for like less than $10. That's pretty cheap. Well, it might be a little more than that, like 12 or 14 bucks, but still very, very inexpensive, especially when you're shooting at a lot of hogs and coyotes and little critters. And heck, I've killed deer with this cartridge, and it does so well. It works great. But let's talk about performance. Like he mentioned, cost, there is some drastic cost difference, but performance. So Yugo M67 out of a full length, let's just call it an AK barrel, but let's just say 16-inch barrel, you're going to be getting just under 2,400 feet per second out of M67 ball, and it's like 124 grain bullet. All right, with the 154 grain soft points, yeah, buddy, you're still getting 2,100 feet per second, which
full length barrel.
Yeah, out of a full length barrel, which out to hunting distances is more than enough. And I've proven numerous times I have double lunged, hogs that are almost 250 pounds. With this bullet, and so I know it'll put them right down, and no suffering, very humane kill on those hogs. Now, compared to 300 Blackout, their lightweight pill, let's just call their lightweight end of the spectrum, is a 110 grain bullet moving 24 out of, I guess, a 16-inch barrel. So these are all 16-inch data.
So that's full length data. I've got some short data too.
Okay, but when you look at the 110 moving 24, I've got a 124 grain bullet moving 24 with the M67. So if you step up to a 125 in the 300, you're getting down to about 2250, 2300. So you're losing a bit of velocity, which can make those longer range shots, as we proved when we did the 1-to-6 PA video on the 7.62x39 video. We had underpowered ammo, which would be kind of in this range, and those 500 and 600 yard shots were just not happening for us. So that extra 100, 150 feet per second can really make a big difference in the long-range performance of the cartridge. Then you start getting into 150 grain bullets, you're getting down to like 1,900, 2,000 feet per second in a 300 Blackout with full power out of a 16-inch barrel versus 2,100 feet per second out of the 154. So in a full-length barrel, there's definitely some performance differences. And before, I know Chad's going to rebuke a little.
Trying to reframe my
He's going to rebuke a little bit of what I'm saying. But one thing I will mention also from a hand-loading perspective is 7.62x39 has a lot more case capacity. So when you start talking hot rodding a hot hand load, which we are going to work up a mutant-only hand load at some point, and we're going to see just how powerful we can make this gun in terms of like getting good muzzle velocity, still maintaining the accuracy. So the hand loading potential of the 7.62x39 is wonderful because of its generous case capacity.
It is. Now, all right, so
moving on to the other Achilles heel he's going to talk about.
If you can't tell, like, I've kind of been more of a 300 Blackout guy.
And I've been more of a 7.62x39 guy.
Ding, 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 ding.
But anyway.
But the thing with 7.62x39 versus 300 Blackout, like Eric said, you do get more case capacity. It's anywhere between 20 and 30% more case capacity.
I'd rather have more than less any day.
So, but the thing is, the
dude.
bullet diameters. All right, talking a hand loading perspective. You know, the factory loads and everything aside, from a hand loading perspective, you have a lot more 308 diameter projectiles out there than you do like 311 and 312 diameter projectiles that are more specific for a 7.62x39.
There certainly are more bullet choices for 300 Blackout.
And between like hot rodding the two, yeah, I've got butt stomping rounds. I mean, like literally, I've got a 110 grain Barnes load that I get over 2,300 feet per second out of a 12.5-inch barrel.
That's very acceptable.
And the thing is, you can go down to a 9-inch barrel, and I'm still only losing like 50 extra feet per second, going from a 12.5 to a 9 because of the fast powder. most of that powder burns up within 8 to 10 inches of barrel length. Now, with an AK, you might lose a little bit more velocity because of the powders that are used and the gas system length that's used. And that's why, like most of the 300 Blackouts you see, you're going to have a pistol-length gas system is to get that really high pressure back here at the port. So you can get that thing to cycle really well.
Well, and with a shorter barrel on something 7.62x39, you're also going to get a humongous fireball if you're not using a suppressor. So
because of all
the
that extra
powders
powder.
are a little slower. Now, you can also experiment with faster powders in the 7.62x39 also. I know a lot of people use Reloader 7. I think there's H335 data out there that can work, but I don't know if the fast powders that are fast for 300 Blackout are also suitable for 7.62x39.
You really
Case capacity, internal volume is a big deal, and it really affects burn rates.
I don't know.
When you start getting that powder in a smaller space, the burn rate is vastly different than a cartridge that has more case capacity. It can affect the burn rate and really make those two, despite being so similar.
Did I say H335 earlier or H110? I meant H110.
H110.
Dude,
Now, I don't know if H110 will work in 7.62x39 or not. It probably will.
If I said H335 earlier, I'm going to catch it in editing. You'll have seen a caveat there.
There's so many different things.
Good grief. H110, for the love of Pete.
The crux of this is that, both the cartridges are good and they do have their place. I think that 300 Blackout, honestly, I think 300 Blackout is kind of a niche cartridge. When you look at the service life and how long 7.62x39 has been around, there's ammo for it everywhere. It's cheap and readily available. It can be gotten, in the form of military surplus ammunition, which is cheap and commonly available. The bullet choices, it loses a few points on bullet choices. But once you settle in, and look, as long as Wolf keeps making this 154 grain soft point.
Isn't that stuff discontinued?
It's not. No, they still make it. As long as they make the 154 grain soft point ammo, then why worry about trying to hand load this and hand load that? And it's steel case, so in a hunting situation, I'm not going to be like, oh, where's my expensive Lapua brass or whatever. This is a great hunting round. I have humanely harvested deer, hogs, and coyotes, and foxes with this particular load, and bobcats. And I've actually never had a single issue with feeling like I was inadequately gunned in terms of providing a humane kill to a game animal. My wife has shot deer with this gun. I've shot deer with this gun. I've shot hogs, like I said, and I've never had a single animal walk away from the 154 grain soft point round. It's cheap, it's readily available, so I guess the point I'm making is that hand loading becomes a little bit less of a thing for a guy like me with this particular setup because, hey, there's my hunting round, and then when I want to plink, there's my plinking round. So 2 types of ammo to keep. All right. They're both cheap, and they're available.
So another thing, a lot of people get into subs or 300 Blackout because they want to shoot subs, and they want to shoot them suppressed.
This is where we lose a few points.
Yeah, so you lose a few points on 7.62x39 because there's only like 1, 2, maybe 3 companies making subsonic rounds, and they are prohibitively expensive for 7.62x39.
Subsonic is kind of a hand loader's game in this.
Yeah, they do work though, but they're very, very expensive, and
that's a good point.
You really do need a hand load for it. There's a ton of companies out there that make 200, 220 grain subsonic pills for 300 Blackout, and the prices have come down quite a bit since the early days of the cartridge. After it was actually semi-spec'd and it really got mainstream.
All the way up to like what, a 210?
I've loaded
196
I've loaded
210?
No, I've loaded 240s.
240s.
Yeah, and the twist rates are very fast on these guns. I mean,
what's the twist on that gun?
1 and 7.
1 and 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so see, most of your AK platforms, or let's just say Soviet platforms, are usually going to be a 1 and 9.5 inch twist. So that gives you maybe just a little bit less stabilization for some of the heavy pills. I've loaded 174 grain subsonic rounds for this gun, and it is very quiet, and it works exceptionally well. It doesn't cycle, so that's one of the things that you have to consider. A lot of people, the appeal of 300 Blackout is the ability to cycle subsonic ammunition. Now, here's my caveat that I'm going to provide there. I am not a fan of, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's quiet, I want to hunt with it.
No.
I'm not really sold on the idea of hunting with subsonic 300 Blackout.
I'm not either.
It's quiet, it's fun to shoot, but that's about it. It just doesn't really have the performance.
Look, I mean, I've read on forums and I've heard of people like taking down, varmints and even up to like deer with
20 yards away.
with a subsonic round.
Yeah, point blank, bow range, maybe.
Look, the thing is, I mean, if you're talking, there's a lot of guys who hunt deer with handguns. They hunt deer with 357 mags. They hunt deer with 44 mags.
Hell, some people use a 45 pistol to hunt deer.
The thing is, sure, that round will definitely put a hole in the game animal, and yes, it will eventually meet its demise, but you may have to chase it for a long ways. But there are some specialty projectiles that do expand quite well from what I've seen in a subsonic capability. But if I hunt,
you gotta be close.
I'm gonna hunt with like a soft point or some specific hunting round. I actually took my 300 Blackout, the 12.5-inch gun, out last year deer hunting, and I never had the opportunity to kill a deer.
You will this year.
But
you will this year.
I've been really wanting just to collect some harvest data on that round just to see how well it does.
And we'll report that as it comes in, but that's part of the Achilles heel of subsonic 300 Blackout. People that go, oh, well, I can't get subsonic ammo to stabilize or cycle a 7.62x39 platform as well as I can 300 Blackout, and that's my only reason for owning 300 Blackout. Well, if you're going to build a 300 Blackout for hunting purposes, you're not going to probably end up using subs anyway. So that point kind of cancels itself out.
Now, I don't know, if we're like
you have to be close.
If we're out hunting coyotes or something like that, or whatever the case is, well, actually, I've got something to say about that. If you're out hunting small varmints and everything like that, I think a subsonic pill, even a full metal jacket, would probably do the job just fine. But the one neat thing with the heavy subs in a 300 Blackout, or even if you hand load them for a 7.62x39, is they go a pretty long way. The trajectory is crazy, okay, but they do retain a lot of energy at long range. They don't really lose that much velocity.
Sure.
But if you're talking about getting the maximum performance out of a short barrel, I think that the 300 Blackout definitely excels in higher performance out of a shorter platform than a 7.62x39
and actually
does.
Running subs and supers, going between the two readily,
but,
for sure.
The thing is, really you need to custom tailor your subsonic ammo for your particular barrel length, and if you're running a suppressor like I am and like Eric is, you want to chrono your rounds. You want to get them like right below that supersonic threshold. Like I load mine in a 9-inch gun to where I'm right at like 1040, 1050.
Yeah.
If you shoot a factory load that's already 1050 out of a 16-inch gun, you're going to be down in the 975, 980 range. Yeah, that's all fine and good and dandy, but if you've got an optic that's set up specifically for like dropping subsonic and supersonic rounds on the same plane, and you've got to have a very specific velocity to be able to switch between the two and maintain that same zero, you have to custom tailor your ammo. That's
one thing I do want to add to what he's saying as well is this 154, in my opinion, in 7.62x39 is also kind of a Goldilocks round.
It is.
It's not quite, it's not subsonic slow, but it's not stupid super fast. But I will say with this ST&6 suppressor and the 16-inch barrel and the Mutant here, a little pin holder in the rail section there.
Who knew?
Yeah, but one thing is when you suppress this 154, the tone through this particular gun, it doesn't really overgas that bad. And, man, it sounds great. It is not overly offensive to the ear at all. I can't venture to say whether it's hearing safe or not in terms of port noise, but it is very, very, very nice and pleasant tone, and it's not loud at all. I mean, if you were a few hundred yards away, you would hardly hear it.
Look, the thing is,
So it's pretty nice.
We've hunted in some pretty rural areas, but pretty close to folks' houses and stuff like that in the past. Just like in basically like big fields in their backyards and all. And we've been out there like way past whatever noise ordinance is. Like 11 p.m. in a lot of places, but like wee hours of the morning, shooting supersonic rounds suppressed, and it's like, did y'all hear anything? Nope. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to shoot a subsonic round in the middle of the night hunting.
If you're talking like, a 110 Barnes out of this, moving at stupid, butt-naked, hand-loaded speeds,
it's really not that bad.
It's going to have a bit of a crack to it.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Especially if you're shooting something that's a few hundred yards away. Once that crack gets out, you'll hear that crack a bit.
Yeah, but the thing is,
these 154s, man, they're way quieter.
What's the furthest range we've ever shot anything?
At night?
At night.
Probably
like
100 yards.
125 yards,
yeah, maybe 100 yards. I mean, you're not going to shoot that far at night. I mean, and in this case, we're running these Armacite thermals. I mean, thermals are great for hunting at night, and that's getting into kind of like a different subject and everything like that. But I think that pretty much covers the ins and outs of 300 Blackout versus 7.62x39.
Which one's better?
Which one's better? I mean, it's a personal choice. It depends on what the individual wants to do and what they're looking to get out of it. Personally, I prefer 7.62x39. I mean, I've got bolt-action rifles chambered in it. I've got a CZ 527 in 7.62x39, as well as an old Ruger M77 Mark II that's in that caliber. I like it.
That's one thing that I've been wanting to get into for a while is like a single shot, like one of the handy rifles that they don't produce anymore. I've been kind of looking for one used.
Yeah, maybe
for a
in
while.
300 or 7.62x39.
Yeah, they made like an AAC version that was in 300 Blackout. I thought that would be really neat to have because it's so tiny. It almost looks like SBR-ish. It's already threaded in the whole 9 yards, but you know, ever since Eric got the two bolt actions, you know, the M77 and the 527, I did a lot of grouping with that 527 a while back. And that is just such a sweet shooting gun.
It really is the ideal little handy hunting rifle.
And I will say, I have really been interested in 300 Blackout for quite some time, but I'm actually considering picking up a 7.62x39 barrel in like an 11 or 12.5 inch length, somewhere around there, for my other SBR and converting it from 300 Blackout to 7.62x39 and just running, you know, the real like banana style AR mags.
Right.
And
that would be interesting to see.
Because I've got an ACOG on there that's graduated for 300 Blackout, but
let's test it.
I would like to do that. So I'm really considering doing that with one of these guns because I do have two short-barreled 308s or 300 Blackouts. So, you know,
I'm going to provide a vote for 7.62x39. I've always been more of that kind of guy, and also remember, I'm also kind of, you know, I'm a gun collector, guys. I mean, I have SKSs, I have AKs. How many other random guns are chambered in 300 Blackout? Right? So see, when it comes to, you know, if you already own AKs and SKSs, if you already own various bolt guns chambered in the cartridge, for a standpoint of just continuity and keeping all the ammo the same, that's kind of why I gravitated to it, you know.
Would you consider any of your 7.62x39 firearms to be life and liberty guns?
Absolutely.
300 Blackout? Not me. 300 Blackout is kind of my fun caliber, and you know, I use it for hunting such as that. But
hopefully
life and liberty,
you know, that might point you guys in the right direction.
There's not enough ammo out there available for you. You can't just buy a surplus military 300 Blackout.
Yeah, I mean, the ammo's expensive. So hopefully that kind of points you guys in the right direction. That's our opinion. Take it for what you will. I mean, our opinions are backed up by a lot of experience and a lot of data.
So was that a vote for 7.62x39 for me?
They both have their merits, okay? We're not trying to say one is better than the other, but I'm just saying my opinion personally, especially with all the animals that I've harvested with this rifle, I can say that it is a great hunting cartridge. I mean, we're down here in Georgia. Most shots are under 100 yards. It is the ideal 100-yard hunting gun. And let's just say, for instance, around, I don't know, whatever, skips off of something and bounces somewhere or whatever. There's a lot less collateral damage, too, when you're talking an intermediate cartridge than a full-on crazy. You know, some of these guys get in the woods here in Georgia, and they're hunting 100-yard shots with a 300 Weatherby Magnum or a 300 Winchester Magnum, and they hit a little pebble, miss a deer, and the bullet skips a half a mile down the road.
I just want to zero that thing for 300 yards and make sure that if something pops out across the field there 10 acres wide, I'll be able to hit him.
Well, and look, I'm not saying that that's not a valid thing for people to do.
A little excessive.
But I do like kind of the idea of the reduced collateral damage of knowing that if, I don't know, for whatever reason you miss the target or whatever, if you're out in a hunting situation, it's nice to know if the round hits a little twig or something or deflects, that it's not going very far, okay? Its journey to the ground is pretty deliberate, and it's gonna hit the dirt pretty quick.
Yeah, and two, we've shot a lot of 7.62x39 at long range, like 550, 600 yards, and it really starts to lose some steam when it gets past.
It's still got some energy, though.
It does. Once it gets past like 400 yards, it starts to lose steam. Now, you shoot 110 grain, 300 Blackout, 600 yards, it's like...
Tink.
It does nothing. I mean, I don't know why optics go out that far, even really for 7.62x39. But
let's test it.
You know,
let's test that as well.
Look, we're going to put that PA on maybe my 12.5-inch gun, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to build a 16-inch gun to keep it consistent. Oh, the variables.
Data.
Oh, data. Oh.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for watching today's video. We hope you enjoyed it, and you know, we hope that maybe you guys are pointing in the right direction on that. Does your opinion differ from ours? Let me know why in the comment section below. You know, let me know which one you prefer and why. And if we're wrong somehow, we'll revisit it. But There it is, guys. That's our take on it. If you love these videos and if you learn something, consider supporting us on Patreon with a small donation each month. Oh no, they're going head to head. Or maybe consider purchasing a man can to help support our efforts. Or if you want to check out a shirt over on Force for Freedom. He's distracting me. If you love the channel and you want to support us, there's various ways that you can support us, and we greatly appreciate the support that we can get from you guys. We're in troubling times now. We're hated in many circles and hated in many different directions on social media, so your support is greatly appreciated, and it helps us continue to put out this content. So thank you very much for watching today's video. Hope you learned something. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.